Since the tax reform was introduced at the floor of the Senate, Senator Ndume has been one senator who has been very outspoken about his views concerning the tax reforms. According to Senator Ndume, he says that the timing of the tax reform is so off. In his view, he thinks that the tax reform should be postponed until the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is amended, and then the tax reform can then be reintroduced. There was a mild drama at the floor of the National Assembly yesterday when some government officials were introduced into the building, for the debate just before the tax reform policy was passed at the second reading. Before we delve right into the details of today's news, if this is your first time here or you have not subscribed to this channel, please do well to subscribe, like this video, also leave your opinions in the comment section as well. I feel bad for the Senate. Jibrin refused to apologize publicly, but apologized privately, says Ndume. The lawmaker representing Borno South in the National Assembly, Ali Ndume, has expressed disappointment with the nature of some recent happenings in the legislative chamber. He described the commotion which occurred in the legislative chamber during the visit by some government officials on the tax reform bills as an unfortunate incident. Ndume also expressed anger and disappointment at the way the Deputy Senate President, Jibrin handled proceedings on that day. Speaking in an interview with Arise News, the Borno lawmaker called for comprehensive reforms in governance, as according to him, it is not a personal struggle, but about protecting the Senate as an institution. Responding to questions about the altercation that occurred in the Senate, Ndume said, "I speak from my mind, not from my mouth. I promised myself I was not going to say anything, but suddenly they brought people from the presidency that I charged with these reforms. So I had to say something, and in the process, this unfortunate incident happened." On how he felt and what should be the next line of action, Ndume said, "I felt bad, not for myself as a person, but for the institution that we call the Senate. We can't do a senator like that. It can mean Ndume today, but not be Ndume permanently. But the Senate would be there as long as the Constitution." The lawmaker disagreed with the way Barrow handled the situation, submitting that the Deputy Senate President exhibited arrogance. He further expressed disappointment with the decision of Barrow not to apologize publicly, adding that he later did the apology in private. "I was very angry, especially when Jibrin Barrow used some abusive words. When I complained and demanded an apology, he felt arrogant because he was holding a governor. He ruled me out of order because he's sitting there as a Senate president. He's supposed to be presiding. He's just one among equals. And if you look among equals, he's ranking and he's been respected in the Senate. But I'm by far senior to him. I'm older than him and I'm more educated and exposed than him. He shouldn't. He knows that. He has to use that statement, even though he said it's not personal, and he further worsened it by saying it's general. He refused to apologize in public but apologized in private," Ndume revealed. What are your thoughts? Let's have them in the comment section below. What do you all think about this tax reform bill that has been discussed? This tax reform bill has been a topic of discussion for a while now. The northern governors especially have been against the tax reform bill. Ndume has also expressed, his dissatisfaction about this bill, complaining specifically about the timing. Northern governors have also expressed their dissatisfaction about it. especially considering that taxes will be shared according to consumption. The more you consume in your state, the more tax you are going to get as remittance for your state, which some states do not agree with. Before we go, let's take a look at some of the reactions we got online. Edoho says tax reform bill to end Northerners' use of their 60% vote to secure their parasitic lifelines and livelihood in Nigerian nation. Looking at it, a lot of people, are in support of this tax reform bill, majorly because, it is what you bring to the table that you are going to get. If your state is not contributing anything to taxes, you are not going to get much. And then I think the northern governors, they know that their state is not actually, contributing much in terms of taxes, which is why they are very mainly against this tax reform. For even before now, a lot of people have been of the opinion, when it comes to, sharing allocation, our major source of income as a nation comes from crude oil. Many people have been of the opinion that, the states that are producing this crude oil, that this crude oil are coming from, should get the lion's share. The revenue from the nation shouldn't be shared according to population, but that is what usually happens. And at the end of the day, most of the revenue goes to the northern part of the country because they have more population, they have land mass than other parts of, the country. But with this tax reform bill, they know that they are not going to get much, and, which is why they are very mainly fighting against it. Moving on, another comment from Omige says, it's a known fact that this present system of governance is not working efficiently. This is because one half is working well, while the other half is doing nothing. The most pathetic thing is the half that is not contributing to the socio-economic development of Nigeria, that is getting a higher federal allocation of resources. This has to stop. This has to stop. The northern governors, they are only fighting for their greedy self. They are fighting for because they know that with this tax reform bill, their dominance is going to quench. Their dominance is going to quench. They cannot use their population anymore when it comes to this tax reform bill. How many people, how do they even consume? I'm sorry, but how much data do they even consume in the northern part of the country compared to the rest, to the other parts of the country? I do not think in terms of consumption, they do not consume, a lot. They do not, remit much taxes like that. They don't, which they know for a fact, which is why, they do not want this tax reform bill to happen. Moving on, someone says, Ndume is pompous and arrogant. Ahmed Abubakar responded to the comment by saying, he's not pompous and arrogant. He only said the truth. 20 years as a lecturer, over 20 years in the National Assembly, studied both in Nigeria, UK, and US. How did that affect anything? Is that one an achievement? But anyway, you all, let's have your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. Thank you very much for always listening and watching, guys. I will see you all in my next video. Bye for now.